Hello, I would like to talk about what I believe is the best build in the game, and will probably stay that way unless something gets buffed or something gets nerfed. And I haven't really seen anyone else play anything exactly like this. So let's just get into it. This will probably be a longer video, but it'll be worth it. So this build is just kind of centered around the fact that Glider is really brain dead and really overpowered. So the main synergy here that is going to be abused is Heat Exchange, Kernel Rerouter, Charge Rerouting, and Pocket Rocket. Okay, now that's actually quite more like single synergy set than you'll see in this game. So let me explain what's going on here. Heat Exchange gives you half of your rocket fuel back every time you fire a rocket. Kernel Rerouter makes it so that you instantly get your rockets, they have no cooldown. Charge Rerouting makes it so whenever you fire a rocket at an ally, you heal yourself. Pocket Rocket means whenever you fire rockets, period, a free rocket automatically gets shot at allies. This has to be an oversight from the developers, because this will automatically proc this no matter what, which invalidates this, which means you always have this. You also want to be using Quickfire for this, because Quickfire allows you to make rockets as spammable. Oh yeah, something I should mention, if you're going to do this, you really want a macro. So let me just get into this and show you some gameplay clip examples of how this works in case that wasn't super clear. So this is a clip that I had to set up because it's pretty rare to be on low health like this. So as you can see, you just let the macro shoot rockets for you automatically, and it's constantly going out and constantly healing others while it's constantly healing yourself. Because the refund on the health is significant and the cost is absolutely nothing. Which means every second you are firing a rocket that deals 200 damage at something, and you're constantly getting a free rocket that will heal someone on the team for 13 health. And if you need context for this, this is how far these rockets track. Like all the way from this far back. Yeah, from about here is when they stop tracking. So you need to be about, just half the entire map away for them to stop. Around here is when you're in range that rockets fired from this distance will start getting in. So if you're about 25% of the map away or within that range, which to be fair, why are you, objectives in this game? You can be from like one end of the mycelium track all the way to the other one and still not, Anyway, another thing Glider can do with this is heal batteries to speed this process up. This is just a bonus thing. I don't see people ever talk about this. I've had to introduce so many people to this mechanic, but not only can Glider heal these like this, she can also heal them just by default like this to stop them from dying in the first place, which just further makes macro auto rockets more overpowered. Okay, so what is the rest of the build? Now that you understand how this synergy works, you never have to stop flying, which means you will always be faster than everyone else no matter what they do, unless they're also playing Glider. These rockets do 260 damage, give or take, depends, about 250. And I just set this up on a macro, so I'm not pressing anything here. This requires no restrictions of anything. And I highly recommend you use a macro for this, because spamming the 7 key all day, or whatever key you put it on, will absolutely destroy your wrists. I would love if the devs just added a way to have the rocket just auto-fire. Like, maybe make a mod just auto-fire rockets for you on cooldown. Okay, so the rest of this is obviously point detonators for the damage. You do not really care at all about the explosion on the rockets because you're using Quickfire. Because this recharge speed and this recharge speed is what allows you to shoot a rocket every second. And remember, it's about proccing more of these, because the self-heal for yourself is 13. So this heals you for about 30-something% of your health, and a random teammate for 30% of their health. So it's about clicking the button as much as possible, not getting the most out of each button press. I like airborne damage just because you really shouldn't not be in the air for a reason I'll be talking about in a second. Obviously, more recharge speed. And this is important to note, you need this to be 36%. If you go like under, I think, 29%, the rockets heal for 11. From like 29 to like 35%, they heal for 12. And at 36%, they heal for 13. You can change this fly speed out for whatever you want. Now, as far as the weapons go, you can min-max the weapons a little bit harder. I will make note of that. But I am using these two weapons for a specific reason. If I had to make one change, though, I'd probably personally change the shotgun for the revolver, because the shotgun is more to deal with bigger, heavier targets, which the revolver can just kind of do faster. But the shotgun is here for a reason, and that's for the ignite synergy. And the ignite synergy is what really takes this build into, you don't really need to think anymore, you just automatically win. So let's talk about the shotgun. This is just, in general, I believe, the most superior way to run the shotgun. I've tried the full plumber or pummeler setup, where you go for like 20 burst and just shoot it all out. It's just not as good. It does less, or I'm sorry, it does slightly more DPS, but it's way less consistent. So obviously the crux is immolate, and this will come back and be important in a second. But all you need to know is getting on fire gives you a bunch of damage and fire rate and all kinds of good stuff. So slide shot, because of a synergy that I also don't see people talk about. While you're flying like this, you see how I'm proccing slide damage boost? Yeah, you can slide in the air. So while you're flying around infinitely for free like this, you just proc this. And you just keep procking it. And you just never stop procking it, basically. Okay. And slam fire, just for the fire rate. Double time, again, just for the fire rate, because you're also using double barrel. Heavy is counteracted. I highly recommend, by the way, you re-roll heavy, because you can get as low as like 60% damage increase on this, and as high as minus 40% fire rate. I've re-rolled this mod quite extensively, and this is the best that I've gotten. 100% damage and only a 20% fire rate penalty, which is completely invalidated by a myriad of things, as you can see here. You're still shooting faster than base. Now, some people will ask, just real quick, I want to preemptively talk about this. Opening charge is not good with Immolator at all. I have seen so many people do this, but just as a side note, if you proc Immolator, you cannot proc... Well, I guess I should... Funny. I guess I should put this, something else on, just to show you. I actually have to put this on, dumb fuck. You cannot proc the lightning while you have immolation on. And you should really never not have immolation on, for reasons I'll talk about in a second. So, hot potato for the fire rate, and fire in my heart for move speed. Now, the move speed's actually really important. Even though you have all this tankiness, the non-stop self-healing, and the non-stop bonus damage from this, you will need to take down metal and abominations. So you just slide in, drop a grenade, and just start going. And this is where the increased move speed allows you to circle strafe faster than pretty much every source of damage in the game. 50% move speed is enough to circle strafe faster than anything other than like heavy melee tentacles, which coincidentally are the only hard counter this build has. Those will wreck you, and there's really nothing you can do about it. This is kind of whatever. Range is just always good, because shotguns actually fall off pretty brutally. Now, the reason why Immolator, I choose this over the revolver, even though the revolver is more damage, is because the incendiary grenade is just overpowered. I'm pretty sure everybody knows this by now. So, everybody knows that as a base element, fire is roundabout the best. Napalm, which every grenade has this, to be fair, but it's kind of hard to really spec into other elements because Immolator's the only like actually good elemental exotic. Whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. Napalm, internal combustion. Now, it's important to know how this works. Every time you take fire damage, which because of Immolator, you're constantly taking your own fire damage, and because of your own fire grenade, which you should only ever throw at your feet, you're constantly taking a shit ton of fire damage, means this is another source of self-healing that also deals damage to people. And it's really hard to put into perspective just how much damage this does, so I'm not even going to try. Just try it one time for yourself, and you will say, wow, that is really good. You need the second grenade because it's really important to be able to throw a grenade at your feet with this setup. Gaining charges when ignited, because you're throwing this at your feet and you're constantly igniting yourself with Immolate, you will constantly be reigniting yourself. Cheap material, this is another one where you kind of have to re-roll it a little bit. You can get as low as like 15% plus recharge speed and as high as like, I think I've seen 33%. And it's pretty important to get into the 30s. And obviously, gain health when you throw a grenade. This can give you overshield, by the way, which is ridiculous. Now, a bit of a controversial one, Hearth and Home. This is usually complete dog shit, but it doubles your grenade charge rate. Now remember, the grenade only exists as a tool to proc your own immolation and your own ignite, and to just kill you if you need it. Now, as you can see, my grenade is coming back incredibly quickly. So let's say this guy is an abomination, right? So you're just flying around, giving free heals, doing brain dead damage. Okay, you see an abomination, land, throw it at your feet, and then you just go in on it, on the one point to constantly break its weak spot. And while you're doing that, Hearth and Home is constantly active. And this allows you to face tank even harder, because while Hearth and Home is constantly giving you this, the refund on your grenade, you're throwing more grenades at yourself, which is restarting the loop and giving you a bunch of health. Now, something you could drop, I will say, you could drop Hearth and Home. This is like the one mod I don't have, but there is a mod that while you're ignited, you deal 50% more damage. That, since just for abomination killing purposes, would be better than Hearth and Home, but Hearth and Home gives you a significant amount of tankiness and versatility by just letting you throw more. But you can really do whatever you want there. And the final bit to make this whole thing work is the cycler. Now, you could replace the cycler with the globular, whatever. I am positive I did not pronounce that correctly, but the glob, whatever the fuck, that the green goop, the goon gun, is better at trash killing, and this thing's primary purpose is trash killing, but this does something that the glab can't do. So, you obviously want the plasma balls, slow moving, condensed, whatever. Rocket burst, because these two synergize with, double shot. Both of these pellets get doubled, and these rockets get doubled, and the burst does not matter at all for a reason I'll talk about in a second. Ricochet can be replaced with whatever. I just like Ricochet because it just ensures you always get damage. Overclocked is mandatory for the fire rate, and this right here, cycling repairs, plus mass acceleration, plus equipment siphon. This is a combo that I personally haven't seen anyone talk about, not in Discord, on Reddit, anywhere. But to give you an example, oh yeah, also bullets apply fire. So what the hell is that all about? People tell you mass accelerator is really bad, but they're a little bit misguided on that. So with the equipment mod, you see how I have 20 or 200 bullets? Just shooting a few times on difficulty 6 will skyrocket you up to 200 bullets, which then allows mass accelerator to effectively make you reach the fire rate cap for this weapon. And do you see that health symbol? Do you see the box alien 104? Well, if you look, every time that goes off, I'm getting about 2 to 3% of my health back. Now, this allows you to do really silly things like this, where you combine the auto rocket healing plus the healing from this, and as you can see, I am literally sitting inside of the damage field on difficulty 6 overtime assignment, sitting inside the damage field, face tanking like 3 giant guys with like all their limbs and the electric grid. And it's just not even bothering me. And while that is happening, heals are getting shot out to teammates as well. I think that covers just about everything. If I had to give a quick recap, what makes this so strong, and why I believe this will just, unless something changes, be the strongest even when everything's fully discovered, is the simple fact that you can drop T6 abominations in like under 5 seconds, especially with the revolver instead of the shotgun. But you glide faster than anyone can move. This is with just one fly speed mod, and I'm already moving quicker than anyone else. It doesn't. You can be a wrangler whose only thing is movement. Glider flies faster default than wrangler moves, without any like crazy like shotgun blasting himself stuff. And that's what makes this really strong, right? Even if you have a glider and scrapper a wrangler and scrapper, and let's say the scrapper throws their thing, wrangler, and then dashes off of it and then like rolls and stuff. Like, yeah, you can do all that, or I could just hold spacebar and honestly move as fast or faster than you. See, you see what I'm saying? And this provides much more support than this guy, than the big guy. Because the automatic, the fact that these two proc each other, it really does feel like an oversight. Because, as I showed, it does not matter where in the map you're at. Just having a teammate alive on the map, even if they're on the other side of it, means you're constantly shooting a heal rocket at them. Even if the rocket doesn't reach them and doesn't heal them, you're still self-healing. So, as long as you have one teammate alive, anywhere, you are constantly, every second, getting 30% or more of your health back. And there's something to be said about this needing a macro, which, as far as I'm aware, the devs do not consider cheating. But this is just constant free 250 damage. And as you saw in the clips, which I can pull this up again, it really is every second. You can see my teammate is getting heals constantly. I'm getting heals constantly. The rocket is constantly shooting. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because the way you break metal is with singular big hits. So like that right there, the double 250s, because I'm just shitting out rockets because the button is constantly being pressed, that will just like immediately break the flesh off of an abomination for you before you even start like throwing down your grenade and getting into your shotgun DPS phase. And of course, while that's all happening, you're constantly shooting a heal rocket out at someone. And another thing to be said about this setup that no other setup can really say, this snowballs exponentially with more people constantly doing it. This is the only build really in the entire game. Yeah, no, this is the only setup where having 4 of this is better than 1 of this. Because 4 people doing this means you have 4 automatic rocket cannons, and you have 4 automatic heals getting dispensed to everyone. It's completely impossible to die. I mean, you saw in the clip the kinds of things that you could mindlessly face tank as one person doing this. You get 4 people doing this, and the heals are getting shot at each other all the time on top of the self-healing. Yeah, 2 gliders doing this, this might be a bit of a hot take to people, especially people that haven't experienced this and the other classes like extensively. 2 gliders doing this is a more powerful team than 4 of anything else that doesn't have a glider on it. I think that's honestly pretty fair to say. It might sound like ridiculous, but I really think glider is just that much stronger than everyone else right now. But needless to say, play whatever the hell you want. This game is not that difficult. I just really enjoy this because it's so strong. Okay, see you later.